Welcome to Wallace and Wired. Today we're talking about Tiong King Sing, the tourism, arts, and culture minister, and, a really perplexing situation involving the Royal Malaysian Customs Department.
Yes, there's been quite a stir lately.
It feels like, and the minister is arguing this, we're seeing a significant misdirection of resources and priorities here.
Indeed. What's quite fascinating, really, is how this started. It was a public reminder from the Customs Department about, personal alcohol collections.
Right, just a reminder.
But it quickly blew up into this national debate, drawing some really sharp criticism from Minister Tiong. It really touches on fundamental questions.
Like what? Enforcement.
Enforcement, yes, but also how laws are interpreted, and I think, crucially, public trust in our institutions.
Okay, so the core of it. Minister Tiong used a phrase, didn't he? Something about taking a feather as a command stick.
He did, basically saying they're making a huge deal out of something minor, or maybe even worse, focusing on completely the wrong things.
He didn't mince words. He called their whole approach extremely absurd.
Which is strong language, definitely. It shows how concerned he is.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. The Customs Department put out this reminder. And I think reminder is putting it mildly. Suggesting that if you collect, excessive amounts of liquor at home, you might be breaking the law. My first thought was, hang on, is this the big issue right now?
Well, connecting this to the bigger picture, Tiong King Sing's point is pretty stark. We've got this serious nationwide problem with rampant alcohol smuggling, illegal liquor sales. Huge issue.
Yeah, untaxed, sometimes dangerous stuff.
Exactly. And yet, the Customs Department seems to be, or at least giving the impression of, focusing its efforts on individual citizens, people with their own personal legally bought collections.
So the question becomes, where's the real threat? Is it someone's wine cellar or the massive smuggling operations?
It's like ignoring the ocean of smuggled goods to go inspect a few raindrops in someone's house.
Yeah.
Tiong King Sing was blunt. He basically said the Customs Department is completely disregarding the real, severe issue of liquor smuggling.
He's saying the focus should be squarely on that untaxed illegal alcohol flooding the market, not someone's private hobby collection.
And this ties into a key legal point he raised about the 1976 Excise Act.
Ah, yes, the act.
He argues that the act specifically protects liquor that's been legally collected, for personal enjoyment, private consumption.
So if you bought it legally, paid your taxes.
Then, according to his reading, you're within your rights to have it at home, even if it's quite a bit, without breaking the law.
Okay, so why would Customs issue a reminder saying it may be illegal? That seems confusing.
That's precisely Tiong King Sing's concern. He feels that kind of ambiguous phrasing is deliberately misleading. It makes a perfectly legal activity sound suspicious, like a potential crime.
And that creates fear, right? Unnecessary fear.
Absolutely. And it erodes public confidence. If people feel an enforcement body is misrepresenting the law, well, that's not good for trust.
What about the quantity thing? Customs seems focused on how much someone has.
Yes, and Tiong King Sing really critiques that. Using just the sheer quantity as the only factor to decide if it's for commercial purposes, he finds that flawed.
Because the law doesn't set a limit.
Exactly. He points out the 1976 Act doesn't specify a maximum amount for personal collection. So deciding if it's a hobby or a business, well, that should involve more, shouldn't it?
Like what? How often they buy large amounts?
Things like that, yeah. Frequency of large purchases, any evidence of actual selling, maybe if they hold commercial licenses. Not just counting bottles, he thinks that's just too simplistic. Arbitrary, even.
He made a comparison too, didn't he? Something relatable for Malaysians.
He did. He asked, look, if we follow this logic, what about people who collect lots of shoes? Or, those blind boxes that are popular? Or trendy toys?
Right, huge collection sometimes.
Would they need special licenses too? He uses that to show how impractical and, well, in his view, absurd that line of reasoning is when applied just based on volume.
That's a fair point. It highlights the potential inconsistency.
Then there's the whole issue with receipts, keeping them for 7 years.
7 years. I mean, honestly, in a typical Malaysian home, paper receipts. For that long.
It seems completely out of touch with reality, doesn't it?
Why?
Most people would struggle with that. Digital maybe, but even then, 7 years is a long time.
It just feels like an unreasonable burden.
Tiong King Sing argues along those lines. He also brings up, look, if the taxes have already been paid on these products, which they usually have, you can often tell from the tax stamps.
Yeah, the little labels.
Right. So if the tax is paid, why should the collector suddenly be seen as violating the law just because they don't have a 7-year-old receipt. He questions if that rule is even relevant anymore or just, outdated, especially since customs' main job, collecting tax, was done at the sale point.
That makes sense. The tax is collected, so what's the ongoing issue for the collector?
And he also points out situations this kind of enforcement ignores, like family heirlooms, collections passed down generations.
Oh, yeah, sentimental value.
Or people buying in bulk.
Mm-hmm.
Sales discounts. Very common here. It saves money.
Totally. Not a business, just being smart shoppers.
These aren't commercial operations. They're personal things, sometimes cultural habits, like having drinks ready for guests during Raya or Chinese New Year, or just someone who really enjoys collecting fine wines or whatever. These private activities shouldn't suddenly become suspicious.
So he keeps redirecting the focus back to what he sees as the real problem.
Yes, the illegal stuff, the substandard alcohol that's actually out there in the market.
The stuff that's untaxed and worse, potentially dangerous, lethal even.
Exactly. We've all heard the horror stories, unfortunately, people getting seriously ill or worse. So he asks this really stark question. Why isn't enforcement properly tackling that, these life-threatening issues?
He sounds genuinely bewildered by it. Like, are customs officials too busy looking at private collections to see the huge smuggling operations happening?
He does express that kind of bewilderment. And then he raises a pretty pointed question. He actually asked if there might be interest incentives involved.
Whoa, what does that imply? Like, corruption?
It hints at it, doesn't it? Suggesting maybe focusing on easier targets, like individuals, is somehow more convenient, or maybe even personally beneficial for some, compared to taking on the big, risky smuggling networks.
That's a very serious suggestion. If true, it would certainly explain the perceived misdirection of effort. And it definitely wouldn't help public confidence.
No, it wouldn't.
Huh.
Ultimately, he condemns what he labels a small Napoleon style of enforcement.
Small Napoleon, meaning?
Petty officials, basically. Harassing ordinary innocent citizens and creating unnecessary panic in society. He's quite clear. Yes, there might be genuine cases of illegal hoarding for commercial purposes.
Sure, those probably exist.
But customs needs concrete evidence before they act. They shouldn't just use scare tactics or make everyone feel like a potential criminal. Enforcement should be based on facts, targeting actual crime, not just generating alarm.
It really does make you think. As citizens, you pay taxes, you expect the government and its agencies to tackle the real problems, the big threats, right? Not create more hassle and fear over, well, potentially very little. Tiong King Sing's criticism really forces us to consider enforcement priorities. If agencies are seen to be fighting the wrong battles, what does that do for public trust, for governance overall? It's definitely something to mull over.
Absolutely. This whole situation brought into focus by Tiong King Sing really highlights how crucial it is for enforcement agencies to have strategies that are clear, that make sense in the real world, and that are, proportionate.
Right. It has to be balanced.
It's all about making sure the laws actually serve the public good, that the real problems get dealt with effectively, and that law-abiding people aren't caught up in unnecessary fear or bureaucracy. Getting that balance right is key for trust and legitimacy.
Yeah, definitely. The conversation isn't just about booze. It's much broader, isn't it? It's about how government works, how it interacts with us. A really vital discussion for any society, I think.
Well said.
Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.